Joining me now is the former mayor of the Queen City, Cincinnati, Ohio. He is a best-selling author, former Secretary of State of Ohio, and U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Human Rights Commission. He now serves as FRC's Senior Fellow for Human Rights and Constitutional Governance. Ken Blackwell, thanks for joining us here at the 2020 Values Voter Summit.
Tony, it's good to be with you, sir.
Last night, the riots continued in Louisville, Kentucky, just across the river there from Cincinnati. Los Angeles and New York, 2 policemen were shot on Wednesday. What is the real goal of these protesters?
The goal of the violent protesters is disruption and unrest. They are in the process of attempting to deconstruct the ideal of America, and they're trying to destroy community in the various cities where this violence, this destruction of property, this loss of life has taken place. Look, Martin Luther King framed it in the 60s, and it applies right now. We have a choice to make. Do we accept and embrace chaos, or do we build community? Justice cannot take root in chaos. And so folks who are chaotic and disruptive in the name of justice are living a lie. And I think we have to unmask them to make sure that people understand that we have a choice in our cities. And the first obligation of local elected officials is to make sure that our streets and neighborhoods are safe, and that there is a context of the rule of law, because without the rule of law, you in fact don't have a chance to create an opportunity society in your city. What you breed are killing fields.
Ken Blackwell, now I know we're making a very clear distinction between the peaceful protesters. You and I both support their right to go out and to peacefully assemble and seek a redress of grievances. We support that right and would defend that right. We're talking about those that are looting, the lawless mobs that are killing and destroying. Now, you were mayor of Cincinnati, and I know you've worn many hats in your life, so I want you to put on the mayor hat for just a moment, because some Democratic leaders are saying to stop this lawlessness would be an act of racism, that we need to step back and let them do what they're doing. What do you say to that?
I think that's nonsense. Again, if you want to build community, what you have to understand is that in the 244 years of our nation's existence, while we have not been perfect, we have been a perfectible nation. And cities that understand how to build community by respecting the human dignity of the individual are light years in front of those cities that have cowered and leaders that have cowered and given in to the thugs and the disruptors. Look, Black Lives Matter Incorporated, their leaders are self-avowed Marxist Leninists. And what we know about Marxism and Leninism is that those are godless philosophies. And so these folks try to drive God and faith and religious liberty out of the public square. And they in fact see a bureaucratic government as being the provider of our basic fundamental human rights. Our founders, the framers of our Constitution, understood that human rights are not grants from government, they're gifts from God. And the only thing that a government can do is to protect those human rights. And when in fact those leaders, those government leaders, fail to protect those human rights and that community decency, they need to be booted out.
Well, not only do they want to eliminate God, but they're also against the family structure, which is one of the things that can help inner city more than really all of the economic development. It really starts with that basic family structure, which runs contrary to the Marxist ideology.
Oh, absolutely. The leaders of Black Lives Matter are self-avowed Marxists. And what they had on their website was that they found that the institution, the unit of the family, of the nuclear family, was a useless concept and construct for them. And they talked about the destruction of the nuclear family. Well, we know, Tony, that the family is the incubator of liberty. You destroy families, you breed a dependency on government. And when government grows, guess who runs governments? Bureaucratic party insiders. And as a consequence, what happens is that nations have become poor and people have become less free. And therefore, we in fact have a choice right now as we conclude this Value Voter Summit, is to renew our faith in the basic fundamental principles that have made our nation the most prosperous, the most forward-looking, the freest country in all of human history. That's what they want to destroy. We must push back. That the choice is ours. We can't sit on the sidelines and watch this happen.
Final question for you, Ken Blackwell. When you look at what is being said by Black Lives Matter, Inc., those that are out there protesting, looting, rioting, they're saying they're doing this for those families or those individuals in the inner city, when in fact what they're doing is setting them back further by their destruction.
Oh, absolutely. They oppose parental empowerment and school choice. They oppose the nuclear family. They oppose free markets. These folks are not doing anything with their violence, but driving out what we call net taxpayers, people who pay more in taxes than they demand in service. And guess when these folks flee and capital flees, those cities become poor. The residents who can't flee become more dependent on dysfunctional government, and their quality of life goes down the drain. They are not in favor of advancing a society that is a opportunity society. These folks are in fact looking to create a government-centric city and society where some bureaucratic elite prospers while the rest of us watch our opportunities fly out of the window, out of the city, out of the country, much as it has happened in every other country that has in fact turned to the godless Marxist-Leninist model. All we had to do is take a look at Venezuela.
Yeah, totally opposite of what America's past and the promise for America's future holds. Ken Blackwell, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Always great to talk with you, my friend.
Thank you, Tony, for your leadership.